This is Carolina AM.
Welcome back to Carolina AM. Chef Jamie of Johnny D's is back in the studio. And today she's got, guess what? Pumpkin French toast with a pecan praline.
Yep.
Oh, I am starving already. Jamie, how do you get started on this recipe?
Well, the first thing we want to do always, obviously, is make our custard. This
Okay.
custard is pretty similar to the ones that I've shared before on the show, except that we added pumpkin to it, and I added a little ground ginger. So, yes, just to add a little bit of a different flavor to it. So,
so about how much ginger are you talking?
it's just like a quarter of a teaspoon.
Okay,
So
so
it's
not
a little
much.
bit. It's not a lot, but but I want to make sure it gives it that little flavor. I put cinnamon in here, brown sugar, vanilla, so all the usuals. But then I put a half a cup of pumpkin in there,
a cup.
and some ginger in there too to give it a little bit of different texture. I mean, a little bit different flavor.
And there's the recipe right there on your screen too, if you want to make this.
So, and you know, when we make the French toast, this is a nice challah bread that we use at the restaurant actually, but you can get whatever nice bread is at your local bakery or your local grocery store bakery.
So it doesn't really matter as far as the bread. Is your just preference?
No, just something that's like a good quality that's going to stand up. I mean, if you can find like a challah bread and slice it on a bias, that's probably the best. That's what I would recommend.
The thicker the better?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably like almost 3/4 of an inch.
Okay.
So I like that. So I dip it in the custard, and as always, I always recommend putting it on a plate first to drain off all the excess. And then you put it in the pan. I have this melted butter over a medium high heat, and we're just going to grill it on both sides until it's nice and golden brown. And then for the praline, it's just butter, brown sugar, some cinnamon in the pan, and you let it melt. And then you're going to add your pecans, and you're going to let them really coat in that butter and sugar mixture. And then we're going to add some maple syrup to it and some vanilla.
So how long are you roasting, toasting? Are these like pre-roasted pecans,
Nope,
or
they're
just
just
from the shell?
No, they're just small chopped.
Okay.
So you can get, I mean, if you like a little bit of a coarser pecan, you can use like whole pecans. I just find it's easier to eat with the French toast.
Okay.
When you're trying to, take bites of the French toast and stuff. So when we put it in the pan, I like to cook the pecans a little so they're not raw. They do get a little bit softer.
Yeah.
And it's kind of roast them and
Like
toast them a little
crunchy.
bit. Yeah. So you don't want to do it too much because I don't want them to get like super soggy, but you can see now that it's really bubbly,
So
and
good.
all the pecans have kind of absorbed all that. So then we're going to add our maple syrup to it and just let that cook for a bit.
Right into the mixture.
Get right into the mixture.
And about how much is that? A fourth of a cup, maybe,
That's
of maple
a little
syrup?
less than a half.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
That is
and then we're just gonna let that sit and cook and simmer on a lower heat, and we just want it to thicken up. So any of the moisture will evaporate slowly, and we'll get that to be a little bit thicker. So when you put it on your French toast, it really coats it.
Okay. Now, I didn't see you when you did the dipping. So do you put it in and let it sit? Because my mom always says you need to let it sit overnight for it to absorb all of that.
I don't.
So what is
You
your
can.
theory?
It just depends on what kind of texture you like on your French toast. I don't like it super wet in the middle, so I like to dip it and let it sit for so I'll dip it, soak it all the way through, and then I'll put it on a plate and just let any of the excess come off, and then and then it'll come through and kind of absorb all the way through. So I don't like it to be too wet in the middle.
Okay.
Because I don't like it.
So
Some
it's your
people like it
preference.
like dipped overnight, but I don't. So I
Okay.
guess it's just on a personal preference.
All right, I'll tell
what you
my
like.
mom.
Yeah. So at the restaurant, we dip them ahead of time, but we don't dip them super early. So it's kind of like a happy medium. If we do dip the day before, we always dip again quick before we put it on the grill.
But your dip is thicker too. It's not, so we would do that side and then flip it over and do it again.
I would push it just all the way
All
down
the
and
way
kind of
through,
drown
let
it
it
for a
cover.
second, and then pull it out and put it on a plate.
Gotcha.
Yep.
All right.
So as you can see, this is starting to thicken up a little bit, and it's kind of like however thick you want it. I want the maple syrup to thicken up a little bit, but I still want it to run on the plate a little bit instead
Okay.
of just kind of congealing over the pecan.
Okay.
So I'm going to turn this off, and this is pretty much ready now. So you see it has some color on it.
Yes, that's very
Let me
pretty.
move this out of the way.
Okay.
But this is one of my favorite things, and it's super easy. And honestly, if you find like a nice pumpkin bread in a store, sometimes they have pumpkin bread, like the pound cake and the
Yeah.
banana bread, but it's pumpkin. That's a really good substitute to use as
Oh,
well.
that's a
and
good
you can
idea.
either use that and make a regular custard with no pumpkin in it, or if you really want the extra
You
boost
really
of pumpkin
like
flavor,
pumpkin.
yeah, you can do it.
That's
both
the
of them.
presentation is everything.
Yep. And then we're going to take this and kind of just spoon it over the top as much as you want.
Oh, it did thicken up. I guess it thickens more, it cools as well,
Yep.
Jamie?
So this will thicken up. If you let this thicken all the way up, I mean, you can save it for another day too, but it will totally turn thick. So you'll have to like heat it back up in the microwave to kind of. And I mean, that's it. You can add a little powdered sugar to it.
Beautiful.
You can add a little chocolate, maybe like a chocolate drizzle to it if you'd like.
Oh my gosh.
Some fresh berries.
Yes.
So.
Well, you made it look so simple. I think I could do that if I practiced a while and soaked it overnight, though.
I don't know if you want to try it.
Yes, can I?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Right. And are you going to make one for Greg? Because I'm not sharing this.
Maybe, we'll see. If he's being nice.
That is delightful.
Yep, I love this. And it's so easy. I mean, you see, I didn't do too much preparation beforehand except for get the custard ready, so.
I like that. And pumpkin is so good for you, too. And who doesn't like pumpkin this time of year? What do you think? Do you like your own work? Would you approve? Yes? All right.
My compliments to the chef.
I agree.